Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Nature Cleric build guide for Baldur's Gate 3. Now this is one of the most neglected classes in the game, and I'm going to be taking you through a full build on how to make it a pretty powerful class. Now, first things first, we're going to start as a Cleric, and I always take Guidance as a Cleric. I think this is one of the best early game concentrations to have. Blade Ward can be pretty nice as well, or Resistance, one of these three. I like Produce Flame as well, because you can throw the flame on the same turn that you use it, and it gives you a bit of light as well. But something like that, Resistance, Guidance, Sacred Flame, or you can take Produce Flame as well. We're going to go with the Nature domain. This gives us Chalet, which can be nice really early on to give us a magical club, deal 4 to 11 bludgeoning damage, and using our spell casting ability for attack rolls. We also get heavy armor, so that's quite nice just to have. I like the ability to choose between medium or heavy, whatever suits the team a little bit better. We also get Speak with Animals. This is one of the few places that we can get that without having to choose it as a spell. And then we also get Animal Friendship. And our subclass, you learn a Druid cantrip and become proficient in animal handling, nature, or survival. So for our cantrip, Chalet is the one of choice. I think Chalet is great. Thorn Whip can be useful as well at certain points of the game, but as far as our ability scores go, so we want to have our wisdom being as maxed out as we possibly can get it. Constitution is going to be one of our next stats to bump up, because the longer you can survive, the better, obviously. Medium armors, we want to have something balanced between our strength and dexterity. Dexterity, if you want to go with more of like a medium armor build. Strength is good for just the overall damage. We can dump our charisma and put up our constitution to 16, give ourselves a little bit more health there. So something like that for the nature domain. This is a very interesting build. I don't see really anyone running the nature cleric, so I want to make a build guide because I was looking into this class pretty deeply. I've used it and it is pretty okay. It's not the best class, so just bear in mind that there's better I think that the Tempest Cleric is probably one of the best classes in the game for the amount of lightning damage you can pump out. We had a level 1 spell slot, and our Channel Divinity charges. We also get Turn Undead, Pray to Turn All Undead that you can see, and Charm Animals and Plants. Channel Fey Magic to charm nearby beasts and plants upwards of 9 meters using our Channel Divinity. So that can be pretty nice just for the survivability aspect of things. Now, what's interesting is we don't get ourselves Blessed to level 2, but Bless is one of the best concentrations in the game. Plus 1d4 to attack rolls and saving throws. That's huge. Sanctuary is also really nice. I do not like Cure Wounds. Healing Words should only be used to pick up downed allies, so if you have a teammate that went down, instead of going and using your action, use Healing Word. So much better. Also, I think Create or Destroy Water is very useful. Command is also a really great consideration, or Inflict Wounds, but we're going to go with that. Sanctuary being a very useful one early on. There's a few ways that you can use that for your advantage. Just for survivability's sake, it keeps your team alive. Now, for our next leveled spell, we get level 2. I think Hold Person's great, but Spiritual Weapon is one of the most underrated spells that the Cleric gets. The reason being, when we cast Spiritual Weapon, we're able to have another target that takes aggro, and it gets attacks, so that is really nice to have. Hold Person being another really useful one, but we can always just wait the next level to take that on. Hold Person, what's nice about it is if you have a melee heavy build or melee heavy team, you can use Hold Person, and then have your whole team go up and jump them, get some free critical hits. So very, very nice. For our next cantrip, I think Produce Flame is pretty useful to have. Just ability to throw a fire is really nice. And then we'll take our Hold Person, which gives us the attacks within 3 meters are always critical hits. So they can't move, act, or react whenever the Hold Person's on them. Really nice. And for our feat, we're going to take ability score improvement. Bump up our wisdom to 19. This should be 20 if we're using the Hag's Hair. This will take it all the way up, but if not, you can always balance out your other stats somehow, but we're just going to imagine Hag's Hair there to make it a nice even 20. It's not great to leave your ability scores on odd numbers. It's better that they stay even so you get the full ability score increase, but that's what we're going to go with for level 4 of the Nature Domain Cleric, which, again, very rare that people use this. Destroy Undead when you successfully turn an undead creature. It also takes a 48 of up to 24 radiant damage. So that's really nice. We also get our level 3 spells. And we get Plant Growth, which is a great non-concentration crowd control option that we can set up outside of battle. This is always going to be prepared. It has a 6-meter radius, and it quarters the movement speed. So I don't see a lot of people saying this is a good spell. People say it's kind of garbage, but actually it does have a lot of usefulness because it can stop enemies from basically getting to your team. If you have a team that's heavy in mobility, it's going to cause a lot of the AI on enemies to use haste and use up their turns by trying to run through it. So that's really nice. And then Sleet Storm is also pretty great because it can interrupt the concentration of spellcasters, so you can drop that down. It creates a nice surface. You can use that ice surface to create water and then create steam to get the enemies wet. And then if you have a Storm Sorcerer on your team, lightning damage, and that gets pretty crazy. Also at level 5, we get Spirit Guardians, which is one of the most broken abilities in the game. This can be upcasted. It does require concentration, but what's nice about Spirit Guardians is it can turn you into a Beyblade. You just turn this on, run around, and you'll deal enemy damage. So, very useful. We also get Animate Dead, which is quite nice to take, so I recommend taking that. Mass Healing Word can be pretty useful. I also am a fan of Glyph of Warding. This is pretty overpowered in terms of how you can utilize it, so if you stop using one of your earlier spells, I recommend taking Glyph of Warding alongside it, because that can be really great. So I like that. Mass Healing Word, it has its uses at times. It's only a 1d4 plus 4 healing, so it's nice if you have the gloves that give your team Blade Ward on heal spells, because you can apply that to your entire team just by using Mass Healing Word, which is just a bonus action. So if you have items that complement this, take them. I just like the Animate Dead because it gives you an undead servant from a corpse, which can be very useful, especially out of combat there. So we get our subclass feature, Dampen Elements. When you hit an ally, you or an ally gets hit with acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage. Use your reaction to have the attack's damage. So that's pretty useful. Just nice to have. We also get another Channel Divinity charge. And we get another spell. So Mass Healing Word, or you can take Command. I think Command is pretty useful at times as well. But something like that for our spells. Don't ever take Bless off. That's a really great one to have. And Glyph of Warding, pretty great. But Spirit Guardians being our main useful spell here. Radiant or Necrotic damage, so you get the option to choose between those two depending on the enemy's weaknesses. Next, we get ourselves another prepared spell. So, I like Guardian of Faith. Called forth the Divine Guardian that attacks nearby enemies. Every time that deals damage, the Guardian loses an equal amount of hit points. What's nice about this, if you have a wizard with Globe of Invulnerability, you can cast that, put your Guardian Faith just on the edge of it. It won't take damage unless it attacks, and then it pretty much keeps your whole team safe. So, great build synergy if you got another class that can utilize that. So, I really think that gets pretty useful. This is something a normal Cleric can get, though, so that is another thing to note, that the other Cleric builds are pretty strong, too. We also get ourselves the Elemental Fury, so once per turn, deal 1 to 8 cold damage, 1 to 8 fire damage, 1 to 8 lightning damage, in addition to your weapon's damage when you make a melee attack. So, we're not going to be meleeing too often, but if you do, you get that elemental attack added onto it. So that's quite nice. For our prepared spells, we're going to go back and take either Command or our Sanctuary. Just depends what you find works a little bit better in your team's composition. And for our feat, Alert is one of the best, I think. Getting a +5 to initiative and can't be surprised. Can't understate how useful that is, because if you get surprised, you're getting attacked really hard. And then the increased initiative, if you have a whole team with Alert, you can move first, take out the enemy team, not take damage. It's quite useful. There's also some other ones like Warcaster to maintain concentration, but I do think that going with Alert is quite useful here, so we're going to go with that. You want to, in Baldur's Gate 3, it's all about the action economy, and if you can go first and take out the enemy, that means your team's not going to be taking damage, so you won't have to heal them. So, it can be useful that way. For our level 5 spells, we can go with Flame Strike. I think that this is nice to add a 5d6 fire, 5d6 radiant damage, and then also Planar Binding can give you the ability to take over the consciousness of an enemy and have it on your team. So that is really nice just for, I guess, giving yourself some more options in terms of your defense. So taking over a fae or any other type of otherworldly creature, having it on your team is really nice. 10 turns, concentration, that's great. So we're going to go with that. And this does work alongside other builds really well. So if you have Storm Sorcerer, the ability to create water is underrated because that doubles your damage and also cold damage too. So we also get our Divine Intervention. You can get your Divine Weapon, which is really nice just to have. We also get another cantrip, so Blade Ward or Light or Thaumaturgy. We get another spell slot here, so it really just depends what you think you need. I always like Command. It's just a great option to have for shutting down enemies. Level 11, we get ourselves the level 6 spell slot, so this is where things can go a little bit differently. I like Planar Ally, and then Blade Ward's pretty good to have as well. So with Planar Ally, beseech one otherworldly creatures for aid. So this gives you another, it's like create Conjure Elemental for clerics. You can choose between the Genie, the Diva, or I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but there's 3 different options you get for Planar Ally. It's quite nice. Blade Barrier just sets up blades, difficult terrain, and stops people from coming towards you, so that can be very useful. Create Undead is also a really nice option too, so you can go with that. Harm is an option as well, but I think that there's better spells. This is a Necromancy one. 14d6. Pretty good. Minimum 14 damage. And reduces at maximum health points. It has some options. We can take out Planar Binding and go with something like this. Having too many level 6 spells is not amazing, but there are potions that will restore your spell slots, and then there's also staffs that will. So you can even just go with something like that and take it anyways. So that is going to be that. We get one more feat too, which is nice. As I said, there's Warcaster to maintain your concentration, which is quite nice. Shield Master. There's a few options that can go great. Heavy Armor Master, if you want to increase your strength and increase the amount of defense that you have. Dual Wielder, if you want to take 2 staffs or 2 maces, but I would recommend not doing that. Ability Improvement to increase your Constitution is always quite nice too. And if you left anything, like if you left your Constitution at 15, you can also take Resilient and Constitution. But I think that Warcaster can be pretty great, and you can also cast Shocking Grasp at a target moving in a melee range. What's nice about that is if you have Create Water, that's going to be a maximum 48 damage off of a reaction, which is quite large. So yeah, the Nature Domain, not the most popular or strong of the classes, but it can have some uses. So we're going to get into just what like the normal options that you'd have. So we're going to, obviously summoning in your Spiritual Weapon is something you want to do at the start of battle. Planar Ally, so you can summon in the Genie, Diva, or you can summon Cambion, that's what it was, yeah. So I think the Genie is probably one of the better ones. The Diva's pretty funny though. I think that that's an interesting summon. And then you got yourself some more defensive options there, so that's great. Glyph of Warding with Sleep can be pretty great. Especially if you have a bunch of half-elves that are immune to sleep, or other elves that are immune to sleep. That can be really nice. And then you got your option for what type of damage you want there. So that's a good option. Plant Growth is great because that's just an overall crowd control that you can set up, and that's going to quarter the movement speed of your enemies. So you can set up and you guys can stay behind it, and then they have a hard time moving through it. You can also dominate beasts, which is nice. You got the create animate undead, which gives you the option to do zombies, skeletons, flying ghouls, or ghouls. So a few different options there. But then we also got the create undead, which we don't have the spell slots for right now because we only get one of those spell slots. So there are the staves that allow you to cast that, and that's why I said dual wielder can be nice because you can take 2 of the staves that allow you to cast unlimited, or allows you to cast one of those spells, and you can use that. We get nice crowd control abilities too. Like we got the plant growth, we got sleet storm, we got hold person. So there's a lot of ability to set up crowd control, but our main option here is Spirit Guardians. This is just a really great spell that you can also upcast. So this goes all the way up to 5, or I guess 6 to 48 damage, and it's very powerful to have Spirit Guardians because this gives you just overall defense. It does require your concentration, so make sure that you do take that into consideration. It keeps your team away too, which is kind of funny. But yeah, that is the Nature Domain Cleric. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below. Appreciate the support, and I'll see you all in the next video.